Mm.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the 57th episode of the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. I am Marta, a psychic medium, angel card reader, and spiritual teacher, and your host. And this podcast is about awakening your intuition, trusting your connection with spirit, and walking your perfectly imperfect path with courage and grace. And every conversation here is an invitation to remember who you truly are, a soul in motion, learning, healing, and creating. And today's episode feels especially meaningful to me because it brings together threads from some of the most unexpected parts of my own journey. Years ago, when I was living through a very difficult chapter, living an abusive relationship, going through court processes, trying to keep my children safe, I found myself studying human behavior in a completely different way. I began reading psychological profiles, exploring why people harm, and this is very emotional, and really why they manipulate and how empathy and intuition can both protect and overwhelm us. And during that time I stumbled upon an intuitive named Tori Hartman and her beautiful YouTube channel, and she had this fascinating blend of intuition and true crime curiosity, and somehow her voice helped me bridge the gap between my trauma and my spiritual awakening. And through Tori's work, I kept hearing about two names that would later become so familiar: Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. And she mentioned their wisdom, their astrology, their artistry. And I remember seeing their names popping up during her lives and feeling that spark of recognition in my heart, even before I fully understood why. And then some years ago, I had an astrology transit report done by Monty himself, and it felt like one of those quiet full circle moments spirit orchestrates, the kind where you realize that every thread has been gently leading you somewhere beautiful. And now, here we are, sitting together in this conversation. I'm going to introduce you in a second officially, but welcome to
Thank
this
you so much,
podcast,
Marta.
Amy and Monty.
Thank you. That was so beautiful.
I really wanted to introduce both of you the way my intuition really spoke and my heart spoke to me today. So I just really wanted to share that. But I will share with the viewers and listeners your official introduction now because your body of work truly speaks for itself. So, Amy Zerner and Monty Farber, they are the world's foremost designers of interactive personal guidance systems with over 3 million copies of their tarot, astrology, oracle, and divination systems in print in 18 languages. And for over 40 years, internationally known self help author Monty Farber and artist Amy Zerner have combined their deep love for one another with the work of inner exploration and self discovery. And their best selling titles include Karma Cards, The Enchanted Tarot, The Enchanted Love Tarot, Instant Tarot, The Intuition Oracle, The Creativity Oracle, The Crystal Spirit Talking Board, The Vision Board Oracle, and their forthcoming Karmic Balance Tarot and Your Cosmic Blueprint. Their 1 hour documentary from AMMO Entertainment, Amy and Monty, A Legacy of Love and Creativity, chronicles their creative journey, showcasing their impact on spiritual self discovery through their art, books, and divination systems. Based in East Hampton, New York, Monty and Amy remain dedicated to their enchanted world, inspiring millions to find meaning and connection through their art and words. Amy and Monty, welcome again. I'm so delightful to have you both here.
Her voice is hypnotic.
I know, really.
I-
We'll do
Beautiful
whatever you
voice.
want.
Well,
Oh,
your description in the beginning of how you were led to something so important and so healing describes so much how we live. Also, you have to have that trust that you're going in the right direction, and then the things that you need pop in and show up in terms of people or events or offers or opportunities. But you do have to have that faith when you're using your intuition.
And this is so interesting because even now reflecting back, and you might relate or maybe not, that we sometimes have plans for our lives and then we surrender to the divine. We trust the universe, and then they take us to the places where we've never thought that we would go to. So I'm just curious about, well, your love and creative energy. It radiates such harmony. So I'm just curious about if you could choose one of your beginnings, any stories that you would like to share.
Well, we met at the filming of a porno movie. That's usually
It breaks the ice.
that's we sit like snakes waiting for people to ask that question.
We've been together for 50 years.
Right. But Amy was always an artist since she's a child. She's from a family of artists, and I was a musician. But when I met Amy, my standard line is she was studying astrology and tarot, and I was studying Amy, so I learned astrology and the tarot. But I started doing astrology at parties, just explaining to people what it was, and then they said
because
to me,
we were so excited about it to share it, which is, when you're immerse yourself in these things, you do want to share them because it changes your life so much, and you want to show people how it works.
So I invented it because someone said to me, I wish there was a way we can have the fun that we have with you when you're not here. And I said, and I didn't take it personally. I said, okay. So I sat down and I invented karma cards, which is an astrology-based divination system that tells the future and teaches you the basics of astrology. And long story short, I sold it, and it came out with Penguin Books the same year that Ronald Reagan's wife was found to use an astrologer. So Penguin Books printed 45,000 copies of it, and it's still going.
But the way that we got it published was a magical way,
Totally
an unexpected way. But I do think you have to put the energy out in some way for it to come back, even though it doesn't always come back in the form that you think it should or wish it should. In terms of people, I see this with relationships, when people ask about if they're going to meet the one, and they have this idea that they have to be a certain height or have a certain amount of money.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
think
of silly.
that kind of blocks the opportunities.
And as Amy always says, if you have to ask me if he's the one, he's not the one. Because when you meet the one, And the Enchanted Tarot was the second in our incredibly lucky experience, because at the same moment that I was selling karma cards to a British
this was back in 1986,
right, at a book fair, the book fair in New Orleans, and I was selling that to this Edison Sod Editions, who were book packagers. Amy was getting interest from Stuart Kaplan, the legendary tarot person who had U.S. games, and he wanted her to do a tarot. Trouble was, he wanted to keep the art, and no, that's not happening.
But one thing I think, in terms of career or following your passion, you can't think about it making money. I've always been an artist, but I did it because I loved it so much, and I knew I would find a way to make a living from it. I didn't know exactly how that would happen, but I think you have to have that real love. I'm sure you do for the work you do, that you have a passion for it, and then the magic happens.
Yes.
After that.
And it seems like a lot of people have it, because didn't you say this was episode 57 or something?
Yes, 57.
Yeah, so we have watched things go from Penguin Books pushing back and saying no one knows what karma means, to health food at the grocery store. So we have watched the transformation. We've done our small part to do that. A lot of people have come out with their own oracles, their own oracle cards. Oracle cards are a thing now. A lot of people think it's tarot and oracle cards are the same. They're not. But Amy's Enchanted Tarot has been out, and now there's going to be the 35th anniversary edition of it, which is so beautiful, from Insight Editions.
When we started, the internet didn't exist.
Right.
I think,
Computers didn't exist.
social media has changed a lot of ability to access, art and create other creative magic makers, which is a beautiful thing.
I got psychic from doing all the books because there was no computer, and then I had to have the meaning of the planet, sign, and house make sense, make sentence fragments that would put together. I think Lifetime TV called the karma cards the cosmic slot machine, because things would and make sentences, and it rewired my brain. As everybody who is intuitive knows, it's not different. It's just accessing a part that you've always had that you didn't believe in. They talk about, oh, we only use 10% of our brains. Well, then maybe it's because we don't believe the other 90% powers exist. Because if you don't, you're not going to access them.
I love it. I have two different thoughts at the same time, which is very typical of me. One, what I love about your work is that you bring that component of magic and mysticism, but it is very grounded and it is very, very authentic and real. And this is what I am trying to do as well, because I've never wanted really to be online. I listen to my spirit guides. They've been nudging me, okay, this is the time so that you can be of service. But I'm trying to use terminology and words that people understand. I'm not trying to pretend that I am more clever or better than anyone else, because, this is what I find really beautiful about your work, that you make it accessible and that people are able to relate and understand, and they don't get confused while exploring astrology and other parts of the spiritual.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That I can't thank you enough, actually, because that's been the goal of all of our books since Karma Cards back in the 80s.
And early books that we had access to in the 70s were very dense and
sexist
and too wordy, and you had to kind of call through them, to learn astrology or the tarot. They were old-fashioned, so we wanted to modernize it and rebalance it. But I think because Monty's from Brooklyn and we live in the real world, we do business and we want practical advice ourselves, and we want to give practical advice. We don't want to talk about the Pleiades and all these things that are outside that a lot of new age stuff gets into, that want to pull it down to earth, next steps, guidance for now, read the energy for now. And Monty's such a wonderful writer, he's friendly. So he's talking to you.
Well, exactly. And I'm a great believer in Zen mind, beginner's mind. So when I'm writing, I'm not writing for me. I don't need to hear my own voice because I know this stuff. So I'm writing for someone, and I know how to put myself in the position of someone who doesn't know anything. And that's where I try and stay, because whether you're putting together something from IKEA or the new TV comes in, a new computer, people who write instructions forget that. They forget what it's like not to know. And I think that's the reason we've been as successful as we've been, is we never lose sight of the fact that there's a person like us who puts their pants on one leg at a time and can only eat one dinner, and they're trying to figure this out. And how can we make it as simple as possible and not talk down to them, because
it's still deep. Right. You say it's like putting the pill in the applesauce, because you have children. You have to hide the medicine, right? So that it's easier to be receptive to it.
I get letters all the time from people who really know astrology, and that they're always amazed by karma cards. And the reason it works is because I tried to keep it simple.
I think, the same thing is because I'm an artist, and the art world is very small, and it's very snobby and intellectual. And I don't like that because it's elitist. So I like that our books are for everyone.
Yes.
And, whether you're advanced and knowledgeable about it, it works on all levels. And I think that's what what we've tried to achieve, at least
It's very nice of you to say what you said, because it's a confirmation of our life's work.
It's enchanted, but it's practical.
Right. Yes, because we don't use an agent, we don't use an attorney, because I guess we're the do-it-yourself people. What do we call ourselves? The normal paranormal people. So, but I can
we
see that
want
you're
people.
part of the movement. You know, you're doing, and you're doing the work. That's the important thing. You show up and you do the work. That's half the battle, right?
Mhm. And it's so beautiful because, well, you're aware of it, and so many people have commented on that. You have that beautiful relationship, and you can feel the energy and the support, and how Monty looks at Amy, how Amy looks at Monty. Like, it's just palpable. Like, you can't really. It's the energy. So there aren't really words that I can describe. But then you also work beautifully together. So you have your own works, like Amy's an artist, and then Monty, astrologer and writer, but then you weave it all together beautifully. So I'm just curious how your work together has evolved. And
Oh, that's a good
yeah,
question.
I'll start from this.
No, because Karma cards, they used a different artist. The packager used
That was your
the
first.
first one, but for Enchanted Tarot, Amy did a masterpiece. It took 2 years to put 78 tapestries together. That was the first time we actually collaborated.
But I think before that, I think just when Monty was a musician, when we first met, we sort of jumped in to help each other because we respected each other's creativity.
Yeah.
So I would help with the band, and make pamphlets for the music performances, and he would help me hang my shows. So I think it was just a natural way to be when we fell in love with each other, to be that support system, which is so important. Because being an artist is not easy. Being a writer, you struggle in different ways, but our relationship is not a struggle at all. So it's a foundation.
We always put the relationship first. When friends of ours bought Red Wheel Wiser, they were like, okay, now you can write a book with all your relationship secrets. And we said, we don't have any relationship secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, you better get some, because we're going to publish this book. So they did the soulmate path, and Amy and I, in separate parts of the house, in our own studio, both came up with the beginning that you have to be comfortable being alone if you want to have a good partnership, but you have to put the relationship first.
I think also we each do in the relationship what we're good at, just naturally. Monty's Mr. Fix It and can fix anything, and he has a great sense of direction, and I don't. I have a great sense of timing, and he doesn't. So we kind of fit.
Right. If it wasn't for her, we'd never get anywhere on time.
Right.
I'm an Aquarius with 3 planets in Aquarius, so I can space out over nothing.
In astrology, you can put 2 charts together and see how they work. And art, when you do that with art charts, it's all in the house of creativity and intuition.
On the 3rd degree of Pisces, 3 planets come out to be on the same degree.
But we were just watching a TV show last night where the couple couldn't get along and they were fighting, and that's basically what you see in the movies.
It's boring.
People think it's boring for people to get along, but we think it's boring for people to fight all the time. We don't think it should be that hard to get along.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's basically, working on yourself inside for all these things, for peace in the world, and for the turmoil in the world. It's all reflective of our own turmoil.
One of the things we get asked a lot about is he coming back? And we're like, why do you want him to come back? I think the reason that Amy and I found each other is we were both in that. In 1974, and from the 60s onward, the best thing you could do was be yourself, or that's what you wanted to be.
From the hippie generation.
Right.
We started exploring Eastern religion and yoga and all those things way back then. So we wanted to respect our individuality, and that's what astrology really helps you to see your personal portrait, his personal portrait, how individual we all are in terms of how we project ourselves, in terms of our emotional intelligence, and it's always growing. So if you're with somebody who's not working on themselves or doesn't want to grow, that's going to reach a point, and you do, there's an impasse there. I think we're here on Earth to grow, just like plants and trees.
See how smart she is.
And
I almost stopped doing readings because I got so tired of hearing about
abusive relationships.
Because ever since I've been a child, I realized that women were getting a raw deal. I had a mother, I had an aunt, I had a sister, and my father was not that way. I guess the reason he was not that way, he was never there. He was a New York City policeman, and the hours took him out of the house most of the time. That probably on my mother's attitude. But I wasn't poisoned with that misogynistic men are superior to women thing, quite the opposite. And so to see this in full force in the world,
It hurts you.
It does hurt me. And occasionally I've hurt people who are hurting other people. But that's the advantage of being big and growing up in Brooklyn and learning how to defend yourself. But I guess
question of will he come back to me?
It drives me crazy.
We hear that on we do these TikTok lives where we do little mini readings because we like to help people and we like to show people how they can read for themselves.
mm-hmm.
But I think instead of that question, people should be asking what's their next step or what can they do,
or why do I want them to come back.
The obsessions, or that it's trying to, that they feel that lack or that emptiness, or it's not really about love, or they want to be loved, but there's so many steps in between this and that.
I think one of the reasons Amy and I have been successful is we understand what success really is, and that's if you're healthy, you're with someone you love, you like being together, your bills are basically paid. That's it. Everything else is gravy. And that's success.
And what does love mean to you, both of you? What's your definition of love?
Well, that's always the age-old, hard to describe love, right?
When I fell in love with Amy, we were living in different shoes. I was in Brooklyn, she was in Manhattan, and we sort of fell in love over the phone. When I would speak to her, I loved her voice, and I would ask questions, or when you have a conversation, I'd just hear stuff in an attitude that an emotional intelligence level that I'd never heard before, and I wanted more of it. And I just like to watch her live. I didn't want to mold her into my definition of what. It didn't hurt that she was beautiful, but at the same time, that's really not what did it.
But it's the same. We like to be together all the time, and a lot of people wouldn't want to do that, or it wouldn't make sense to them. With us, if we run errands, we have to do it together. If we're in our separate studios, we call each other on the intercom to share notes, because we don't go very long without discussing things, or we take lunch meetings every day. So to me, love is just that heart connection. It's a very whole feeling. I think it's a very harmonious, balanced feeling. There's nowhere else you have to be, like Monty said.
I was just about to say that. I guess.
Did you say?
I didn't know I did. That's part of the beauty of being an Aquarius. You forget what you just did so you can do it again. No, when I was a location scout in the movie business, and I saw something that was astounding, I'd have to call Amy, even though the phone looked like a brick with something. This is the early because I didn't feel like I had seen it until I told her about it, and I wish she had seen it. I just think it's like when you love just watching this person live, the way people are about their children
or pets.
Yeah, it's not like you're like, I wish that. Well, yes, there are people that train their pets. That's true.
But we don't want each other to change, and we never did. I think that's a big mistake. People get together with somebody and they think they're going to work on them and make them change. If they're not already, people generally are the way they are. Monty's been the same since I met him.
And you as well. Amy was.
He's neat. That's like a big issue. A lot of women complain about their husbands being messy, right?
Yeah. Well, I lived with my father, but just the two of us for a while, and he had been in the military. And so if you want to eat, cook. If you want to clean house, clean the house. It's not like there's no maids in this place. But what I used to play, but like I said, he was a New York City police sergeant. I used to play at his precinct in Prospect Park down the street. And one day I asked the cops who were milling about, are you ever afraid? And this big Irish cop picked me up and he said, domestic dispute. He says, I hear that and I unsnap me gun. He said, and then he said something I've never forgotten. He said, these women marry these guys thinking they're going to change them. Monty, you can't change anyone. It's hard enough to change yourself. And it stayed with me my whole life. And I never expect anybody to change. It's ridiculous.
Do you think it's only possible to change ourselves when we want to change?
100%.
Sometimes the universe throws us something that makes us, sort of forces us. So we try to get a jump on it and change before the universe
that's how
makes us change.
That's how my attitude towards transits and astrology is. It's like, okay, Pluto is on my sun right now because I'm an early degree Aquarius. So what does Pluto mean? It means transform. You better transform, or you'll transform. And you don't want the planets to help you. You want to do it yourself, so they'll help you help yourself. Because it's like when people are in their 40s or late 30s, they have what's called the Uranus opposition. Uranus takes 80 years to go around the solar system. So it's opposing where it was. Uranus opposition is the crisis of middle life. And Uranus in astrology, as a psychological language, says that what makes you excited to get up in the morning? That if you haven't made yourself excited to get up in the morning, Uranus will help you out with that, because it'll ruin your job, it'll ruin your marriage, it'll blow everything apart. When Uranus was discovered was when Nobel did dynamite. And it's that same Nobel Prize versus dynamite. It's a very extreme kind of energy that you have to bring newness into your life, or the planets will help you.
What sign are you, Marta?
Taurus Sun, Scorpio Ascendant, and I think Sagittarius Moon. Yeah.
Sagittarius Moon, a truth teller. Well, Amy's a Scorpio rising as well. So you've had Uranus going through Taurus for the last 7 years. Now it's into Gemini. And that's hard. It's been the last 7 years. But if you have used the energy of Uranus to revolutionize your life, then that's the best use of it. Then you don't have to have the accidents and the breakups and all this other stuff.
But the Taurus stays until, that breaking point. They're very loyal.
Yeah, Amy has Venus in Taurus. People with Taurus, especially Taurus Moon and Taurus Jupiter together, oh my God, they stay when they shouldn't.
Or do you think you're...
And it's 2000, I'm just calculating, it's 2018 when I decided to leave my marriage, 2018. And the last 7 years, well, where I am right now, emotionally, spiritually, like I've never been in such a good place in terms of like being authentic to myself and like feeling free and happy. So I feel like I've done hard work over the last 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
And Isn't it amazing how it works?
It's incredible. And this is what excites me, is to help people understand. I guess if they didn't have problems, I wouldn't get reading clients. But thanks to Zoom and StreamYard and all these places, I have clients all over the world.
Well, I think everybody has different problems at different times, depending on the cycle you're in or the age you're in, because...
Yes.
So what are other human experiences that astrology can help us with? And then the other thing, because frequently people ask about their life purpose. Can astrology help us to tap into that?
Actually, one of the best things, probably the best thing for that. Okay, on your show, I will give everybody who's watching a really important thing. You can go to any of these websites that give free astrology charts. Look where it says rising sign. The rising sign is how other people see you, whether you want them to see you that way or not. So Scorpio risings, you and Amy, are seen as intense, passionate, sexy,
mysterious,
and judgmental. And anybody who is insecure cannot handle looking at you guys, because they think that you see right through them. You see right to their BS.
And we do.
And you do.
And that's what I thought.
No, and you also are what Scorpio risings are the people you do not want to mess with. And so that's the impression. And if you said you were having trouble with your ex-husband or whatever, it's because he couldn't handle the passion, the sexiness, the intensity, and the judgment that he perceived, even when you were like, well, did I leave the water running? You know, what Scorpio rising is the sign of misunderstanding. And every one of the rising signs is how people are being seen. And a lot of times people don't understand. Like I'm seen as a Leo rising, the hat and the glasses and, you know, the shirts and whatever. And I, you know, I never minded wearing a pink shirt and all this stuff. But I'm an Aquarius. To me, it's just a different uniform. You know, it's fun. So if someone is an Aquarius rising, they're seen as cool, unemotional. Eccentric. Aries rising is seen as more argumentative than they think that they're being seen as. Taurus rising is being seen as, I'm here to show you how strong I am, because that's the Taurus thing. Gemini risings are versatile. And it goes around the whole solar system.
But
so
your life, as you're talking about your life purpose, that's the intricacy of the whole chart. You know, if you have a good astrologer that can see where you should concentrate your gifts, what your gifts are.
But you don't build a house from the roof down. And so your life's purpose is the top of the house. And that's why your Cosmic Blueprint, my book, which is coming out in April, I can't believe, which is 106,000 words, and I've been working on it for 5 years, is designed to take you from not knowing how to read a chart to knowing how to read a chart to the point where you could actually hang out your shingle and do readings for people. And I know it well enough where I could teach it that way. But in terms of life purpose, you have to understand the basics of who you are first. And if you don't know how other people see you, that's a problem. That's like, I got dressed this morning in the dark.
And to recognize how different, you know, that's what bothers me nowadays, that I guess politically or whatever, people want somebody to be on the same page with them or think the same way, but we absorb information differently. We are attracted to different kinds of information. So we're all going to see things differently. And astrology helps me see how you perceive things or he. So it creates a real understanding and a tolerance and an acceptance of our uniqueness.
And also, I also want people to read your Cosmic Blueprint who have children, because especially when they're pre-verbal or if they end up being non-verbal, the rising sign is how they're coming off to you. And if they're Capricorn rising is the classic example. These are the kids that got loaded up with responsibilities because they look like they have it all together. Oh, they're not bothering me. They look so strong. They're like a parent. Let them watch the kids. Meanwhile, they're just a kid. And so to know that your child is a Capricorn rising, you would know that things, it looks like everything's okay, but maybe not. Let's not assume that this child is as calm, collected, and adult as it's coming off. So life purpose definitely is in there.
Well, you can see your children in your chart. You can see your children. You can see your family. You can see your father and mother. You can see all of life, really. So if you go to a good astrologer, which Monte is, you can have questions about what's going on now, but it can be revealed, you know, something from the past. Like he just told you, 7 years ago, you started going through this cycle. I think that's really one of the amazing things about astrology, that, you know, this is going on now. You're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Then 10 years ago, this was happening. So it shows you there's a reason why you're feeling the way you feel. And there's a time to push forward. There's times to hold back. It can tell you, it can read the energies like that.
It's cool.
And could you talk about free will? Because for me, I feel like astrology, I might be wrong, but like it brings that awareness, it empowers us. But if you could talk about, well, I feel like our future is not fixed, that we have certain...
Oh, of course.
This is
if we can talk.
This is more your birth portrait, you know, like if I paint a portrait of you. But everything, free will is the most important ingredient.
100%. And in the book, I always say things like that because it's true. It's like the magic isn't in the tarot cards; it's in you. It's all designed to bring out the magic that's in us. It's like we see the tarot as the first search engine, but we designed the Enchanted Tarot before there were personal computers or search engines. But one day we were like, "Wow, search engines! That's what the tarot was."
Because the tarot, say you pick a card, what how's my meeting going to go, and you maybe get a slightly negative card. Then you ask, how can I make it go better? So it's an ongoing peeling the onion of where you're centering yourself, what energy you're putting yourself in, how can you compensate for this? So say you're going to have a challenging cycle coming up astrologically, you can compensate for it with your strengths. So you have to understand your strong points or your weaker points and learn how to utilize them in the right way. But that's the first thing you learn in astrology, that free will is the most important thing.
Right. And the very ancient astrologer Ptolemy, they always sound like you're spitting when you say his name, the Egyptian, he said, the stars incline, they do not compel. And I actually say it 4 times. The editor wanted to take it out. And I was like, no, don't take it out because people really got to get it. Because the big problem, I'm sure you've seen this with other people who are mediums, is that when they first learn it, oh my God, you don't want to be anywhere near them.
Well, people
because
that don't know anything, they always say, well, I don't want to know when I'm going to die. And
I'm like, I'm not that good. Not only that, but I actually am.
They're
But
scared and they don't even know what it is, but it scares them.
But what I tell them is the ancient mystery schools, that is the big no-no. You don't talk about people's death. You just don't.
Yeah, that's a veiled.
Can we talk about this huge responsibility? Because this is what I'm trying to share as well. Because there's such a bad, stigma about psychics, and when you call yourself psychic or a psychic medium.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yes.
We've
Well,
been
forever,
called cretins. We've been called all kinds of.
I tell you, it's different now, where, I mean, if you start talking about astrology, people pull out their charts on their phones, it's like in the old days, you had to be a little more worried about who you're going to talk to about it. Although I guess we never really worried. I love to ask people their signs, and it's always a blessing when they know their whole chart, because what a great way to get to know somebody and to get to talk about the real stuff.
I always tell them I don't blame you for not believing in it because I didn't believe in it either. But if you know what it really is, it's a whole different story. It's just like, and then I try and put it back on them and say, you know how your job, everybody thinks this, but it's really that. That's astrology. That's, obviously the thing that gets them is when we tell them, yeah, I've sold over 3 million books. Then all of a sudden they back off. And money change, money, like what's her name? Cindy Lauper said, money changes everything.
But there's plenty of people giving what we do a bad name.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I mean, especially nowadays on TikTok, you see people that don't know what they're talking about.
And I always, in the book, I mentioned several times, do not do any astrology for anyone who hasn't asked you to, because that's when trouble happens. And also, if you do say something, make sure you know what you're talking about, because sometimes people will say something and to them, it's them thinking out loud, and it changes the other person's life because they start worrying about their father or their mother. The
be careful about health things.
I never do health things ever because it's too important. I am not I'm not a medium. I'm not a health medium. I'm an astrologer. I'm an author. So I'm like, go to the experts.
But if it's somebody that really doesn't know what they're talking about, there's no point getting into an argument with them.
Getting into an argument, it's like Amy and I. Well, Amy and I, yes, we will be invited to things with tarot, but not for astrology, because astrologers have an issue about wanting to be accepted, and so anything they
have a chip on their shoulder,
sort of, yeah. And they want to be accepted. They want to be scientific. They don't want to be with someone who can have fun with it, if for lack of a better word. But then they should remember that in the American rodeos, the best riders are the clowns, because if they're not, they get killed. So you have to know something really well to have fun with it and to explain it simply.
Also, you read people. If people are open, then you can have a real conversation about it. If fear, if you feel the fear about it, you have to be compassionate to that, because it's just, some prejudice or something they heard. We hear that a lot. Like, once they went to a reader, when they were young, and they told them something negative, and it scared them so bad. It's even people, I know people in business who are highly successful who go to street psychics,
Yes,
and
to lift the curse.
and then they get into, spending lots of money to lift the curse. Like, how could they not know better? But they're vulnerable, and
Well,
people take advantage of it.
And Amy has had that experience in her own, in the art world. It's like we're sitting in front of one of her works right now. Yeah, this is fabric. This is not a green screen with a background. Amy has been doing this since I met her. She's been doing these kind of works, and she's won the National Endowment for the Arts Award in the category of painting for work that's all fabric. No one ever did it before she did. She's an acknowledged artist, but in the art world, ugly is in. Disgusting is in.
So if it's beautiful, it's not as important.
Right. She had an art. This woman.
I mean, he's just saying that in terms of, we're used to being misunderstood.
Right.
For many of you, we do.
Yeah, Amy had a corporate art buyer say, "Can you make something that people don't want to look at so much? Because if we put this in the boardroom, they're just going to be staring at it." And I'm thinking to myself, that's how I get my best ideas, is staring at Amy's work. That and the shower are the two great sources of ideas.
But again, I think things have changed a lot. Where people are more open. People want a spiritual connection. Organized religions aren't as important as they were, in a way. People are doing their own spiritual practices to connect with the higher self.
But we all have nothing but respect for people that are into organized religion, because
I understand they want that solace.
They want to feel like they're connected.
Yeah.
And I think connection and community are the two most important things going on in the world right now: the lack of and the search for. And I think that is why your guides keep telling you to do what you're doing.
What do people come to you mostly? Do you find a
well, it first started with mediumship readings, because I started seeing people on the other side, and then I started sharing those messages. So mediumship, it started with mediumship. But in terms of those psychic readings, I think we have those three areas. Yes. Health, love, and money. But I also have those intentions as well. I'm very strict. I'm not a doctor, so then I don't really diagnose. I don't predict, and I don't talk about deaths as well. I talk openly that I have very strict rules with the spirit world, that I don't want to see it. Of course, it's different for my own loved ones and family. I've always known when someone would cross over, but that would give me an opportunity to say goodbye. But in terms of readings, I think I bring that. Hopefully, I make my clients feel safe because they know what to expect. But yes, love recently, but then life purpose as well.
Yeah, yes. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, for someone, Gurdjieff said, to get well, you got to know you're sick. So for someone to come to you looking for a life purpose means they think that it's possible to have a life's purpose and that they don't know it.
I love that question also, because it's deep, it's important. It's somebody who really wants to be true to themselves and learn how to be true to themselves.
When I first met Amy, the ancients have an expression: when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I had been studying the work of Paramahansa Yogananda, and I'd actually been doing the sitting and the Kriya Yoga and all this stuff. And I was a vegetarian for 7 years, and I always said I'd never go out with anyone who wore eye makeup or who smoked cigarettes or who ate meat. And I met Amy, it was like, well, forget all that stuff. Because I was ready and the teacher appeared.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell me both about how have your psychic abilities, or how you get your inspiration from, how it has enriched your work? So for you, Amy, I'm curious about your internal process of weaving that spiritual meaning into form. I guess for you, Monty, as well. Like, yes.
My mother was an artist, and I was always encouraged to be an artist, and so I always made things since I was little, and I think I knew it was coming through me. So to me, with 3 planets in Aries, I like to be very spontaneous, not to plan out too much what I'm going to make. Although doing a tarot, you have to have a grid of meanings. But how the imagery was going to appear, I sort of fell into the mixed media in the early 70s, being a thrift shopper, and went into the closet with scissors. I wanted texture and layers. But to me, it's an adventure every time I walk into my studio, and I'm always have some project I'm working on. I really think it's like a channeling where I let it come through me, and there's stories to tell visually, and then Monty interprets them into words.
Right. And Amy never sketches. She just does the work. What she didn't say is she has Jupiter and Pisces in the late degrees of Pisces, so it's very close to Aries. And Pisces as a sign is very connected to everything. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So that connection to everything and growing through diffusing the consciousness, which is Jupiter is how you grow. So Jupiter in Pisces is diffusing your consciousness, or being utopian helps you grow. And it's connected to the Aries, which never plan, never sketch, never, they want to be the first to do something, which she's done. So that's how she does it. But it is true. I illustrate her art. I let the art come. When the Enchanted Tarot was done, I wrote what I saw in the art. The tarot does have basic meanings, but Amy chose certain symbols, certain images to put in there.
I feel it's like the Akashic Records, or I like to portray the universal consciousness where we're all connected, we're all one. So I like to find imagery from different cultures and different time periods and put them all together, because it makes us feel that we're connected. We're humans that are having this experience on the earth plane.
And plus we grew up in a time when drugs were prevalent. I guess they're prevalent now. And we stopped. I mean, we stopped that. Amy stopped it. Yeah. But Amy's work shows the heaven on earth that is seen by people. Now it's fashionable to do ayahuasca, or God, I don't even know what it is, to do all these different things. And oh my God, I saw it. It's so beautiful, and life is so beautiful. We don't really see it. Well, that's what Amy's art is. She'll have a cutout of a person, and the person looks like a person. Meanwhile, they're in this amazing landscape with all kinds of energies around them. And now Amy's gotten a lot more abstract about the energies, but that's what Einstein was talking about. And it's all energy. So she shows that in her work, and she's been a pioneer doing that. Very courageous. That's another Aries thing, is being courageous. We're all courageous in our own way, and that's what comes back to your willpower.
But Monty was always psychic because he dreamt about me when he was 14.
I did, and I told my father. I came into the kitchen, he was reading the newspaper, and I said, I just dreamed of the woman I loved. He's like, well, what do you know about love? Okay, great. So I learned early on, don't cast your pearls before swine. So it's helped me tremendously to have grown up in Brooklyn with people that don't. When you have a policeman for a father, he thinks you did something. Every cop looks at you like you're guilty. I haven't figured it out yet, but one day I'll figure it out. And so running out as an astrologer or a tarot reader, I don't mind saying it to them, because I've had that look. I grew up with that look that says you're an idiot, or for believing the way you believe. It's like, you know what? Good luck to you.
And for anyone listening who may not maybe think of themselves as an artist, let's do it that way.
Oh, no,
what advice would you offer on using creativity in any form as a way to reconnect either with their soul, heal relationships, or maybe express their inner truth?
Well, strangely enough, we have something called the Creativity Oracle, and it's designed to help anybody with a creative project to activate that project, even sell it.
Well, you think of creativity as spirituality, and
Yes.
spirituality as creativity, because that's how you solve problems. So the more people nurture their creativity, the better the world will be. Then we'll make the best decisions who to live with, what work to do ourselves. We'll honor that. But I think everyone has gifts in all the arts.
Yes.
Whether you like to dance or make music. If
Or
you love
cook.
music, you can make music. If you love art, you can make art in
And-
all different forms. We did a project called the Vision Board Oracle this year, and it's collaging to help you manifest your goals. So anyone can do that. Anyone can cut up magazines. And it's so fun to watch people who normally don't think of themselves as artists do the most amazing visions, once they're let loose and don't stop themselves. I think people are perfectionists, they think they're not as good as someone else, or they hold themselves up to some standard. But, if you take away those barriers and make a safe space, I'm always impressed with what people come up with. And doing collages helps you see things in a surreal, real way and juxtapose odd things with each other. And you make a masterpiece, with words that help you think about what you really want. To put it down on paper really helps you in the manifestation process. And Monty has a manifestation process that's in the book that
Right.
it's very easy to do if you do it, and it really works.
Yeah, it's quantum affirmations, which is basically, you were talking about how is it all set in stone before? Remember when you said that? Well, it's not. And believe it or not, I was going to be a scientist, and quantum affirmations is based on science, and quantum physics is really as weird as it gets. And actually, Niels Bohr said, if you don't think that quantum physics is odd, you don't understand it. And there's probable futures implied in this moment based on our beliefs and what we've done in the past. And which future we get to is determined by our consciousness. Consciousness is everything. Consciousness is everything. And all the quantum physicists said the same thing independently, because consciousness affects experiments. And so how do we get to the future we want to get to? And one of the ways is associating your gift, which is what you do effortlessly and endlessly, with the goal that you're trying to get to, because it takes away the charge. Because a lot of times people say, I want to meet the one, or I want to make more money, or I want to do this, I want to do that. And my first question is, actually, it's my second question is, why do you think you haven't gotten it yet? And usually it's because of fear. Fear of success, fear of failure. That's the number one card in the creativity oracle, is the fear card, because nobody can stop us the way we can stop ourselves.
Also, your technique helps people to visualize. And I think that's something we can get better at by practicing. The tarot helps you do that, and vision boarding helps you do that. So the more you can see it and use your imagination, which is a creative process, the more you can make those kind of goals happen. But it's like you say, you put the energy out, and then it comes back over here.
Yeah,
like you meeting Tori, that led to meeting us. And I love that magic.
Tori's cute.
She is.
Life is wonderful. I think when people wake up in the morning, that's a good thing to be grateful, because you can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. Gratitude sort of is the fear killer. So I think
It's like a soothing balm. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, there are people that, oh my God, life is going to end one day. It's like, okay, so why not enjoy it? It's a whole inner dialogue, and I think that's what you and I and Amy we're all doing. We're trying to help each other get home, like Ram Dass said in that last book that he did. Because life is difficult and beautiful and all those, and brutal and short. I forget who said that one, but there's so many wonderful people. I mean, look what you're doing. 57 of these. That's amazing. So what the thing that we love the most is when people say what you said about how our work has helped you. because your work has helped us. And it's that whole mutual exchange that is so beautiful.
I have two last questions in my mind. Well, I could have many more, but yes, I'm aware of your time. Well, what message would you love people to carry with them after engaging with your work? And like, if you could tie it to what does legacy mean to you both? Because I know you have the documentary, Amy and Monte, A Legacy of Love and Creativity, which captures the essence of everything you've built together. So what does legacy mean to you both, and what message would you love to leave people?
I think legacy means what carries on after you. You know, what have you left for the world? And, you know, it can be tangible or intangible. We have my work, my art, and we have our books that we've created. I know they will live on. People will find them in the thrift shop the way we found special books that meant something to us. Or, you know, they'll be in a museum, hopefully. But that's the legacy. I think it's the energy that you put in something will come back and stay and, you know, transform into something else. And I think that's the message we want our books to hold.
Yes.
For people to be aware of the energy that they put in, the love they put into something, you know, whether it's a child or a work of art or something that they're passionate about. That's about staying enchanted.
It's a hard question because we know for a fact, I mean, there's no guarantees in life. So, and it's very, you know, a lot of books that were wonderful are out of print. And there's a chance that maybe all our books will go out of print. But I think it always comes back to what is success. And success is doing the work in the moment and sending that echo out into the whole world.
Because we've always enjoyed the process. I mean, that's why we like to do book after book, because it's exciting to find out what you know or find out what you need to know.
And so many people, I mean, the difference in their legacy is the size of the dumpster they bring up to their house to get rid of all their stuff after they're gone. I mean, we're doing our best. When we write a book and create a project, or when Amy does art, we would love it to live on forever and be in museums or whatever. But at the same time, you know, you never know. It's a respect for the unknown. So it's swinging for the fences, as they say in American baseball, where you're trying to get a home run as opposed to trying to get a on base, just, you know, a simple hit. We're swinging for the fences, and a lot of times we get on base. But after you're gone, who's going to fight for you? Sometimes people do. And there's very few people whose legacy becomes a household name, like Einstein or Picasso or people like that. All you could do is your best.
And for the message, you know, the Oracle of Delphi had two inscriptions. One was nothing in excess, and the other was know thyself. And I agree with that. We try to live the middle way, and
with the exception of tofu pudding. No, it's true. We try and live the middle way. And what was your other question? Because we could spend a whole hour on that one question.
I remember.
Oh, okay. I started thinking about tofu pudding.
Well, perhaps I can ask you for your final message, something that you would love to leave the viewers and listeners with. But my question, well, I asked you about legacy and you've answered that. And then I ask you, in a way, something that was really connected to legacy, what message you would love to leave people after engaging with your work. But a final message from both of you for the viewers and listeners, anything that you would love to share.
It's true.
Have fun and give people a break. Everybody's like, it's like Custer's last stand to every person about every aspect of life. You know, you eat bread. You know, it's give people a break, allow people to be themselves, and don't and try not to be afraid, and try not to react out of fear.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is, in that sense, life is simple, because we just want people to enjoy life, so we won't feel so guilty enjoying our own life, you know.
Stay enchanted.
Stay enchanted. Follow us for more.
Yes, this is my very last question. Where can people find you and how can people find out about your work?
theenchantedworld.com. We have a very nice website. And then we do TikTok.
You can get free readings with our Enchanted Tarot. You can type in a question.
It comes to life and talks to you.
And we're on TikTok, the Enchanted World. We're on social media. Our name's Amy Zerner Monte Farber.
We're doing a TikTok live today, actually, but this is probably recorded.
Yes.
But we do TikToks every Wednesday and Saturday. So that's fun. We love social media. And we have a really great setup because we started doing it during the pandemic, which was hard on all you Capricorns out there, by the way. Just wanted to say that.
And I'm going to make sure that I add all of your links into the description of the podcast as well. Well, Amy and Monty, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your wisdom, your hearts as well with us today. I truly believe that you've shown that creativity and connection can become sacred practices and that love can truly be an act of art. Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers and listeners. Until next time, keep grounding, keep expanding, and keep walking your perfectly imperfect path. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.